Conservation Commission. Matt, what's our first order of business?
Mr. Chairman, our first order of business is a notice of intent by the Winchton Redevelopment Authority for a construction of a 2,350 square foot long road cul-de-sac within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and a wetland crossing over on Commercial Drive.
Okay. Who's here to represent this hearing?
Gotta read the hearing.
Please approach the mic and say your name.
Dave Clark. I am the applicant on the notice of intent. Our engineer got stuck on traffic in Route 2 and is about 3 minutes out. So I'm not sure if...
You want to put this later on the agenda
yeah,
then?
if you can skip us for a few minutes would be much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the next one we have is a real quickie, actually. It is for 276 Lakeview. It's a request for determination of applicability for the rebuilding of stairs and for the placement of a shed within the 100-foot buffer zone. I have a sketch I'll put up on the board for everybody. Pull the file out here. It's an 8x16 shed. It's just past the 50-foot mark. The stairs are right at the 50-foot mark. So that would be the public hearing. Pardon me for just a minute. So here's the drawing. We have the water, we have the 50-foot mark, which I did verify. We have the stairs that are being rebuilt in place and the shed. So my recommendation is a negative determination number 3. Works in the buffer zone, not going to impact the resource area. No work within the 50-foot.
So would this be considered a permanent structure, or is this a temporary structure?
Based on the description I received, it would be considered a permanent structure.
Okay, well, 50 foot's no touch, 75 foot's no build.
Oh, correct.
100 foot is jurisdictional, so we're within the 75
Stairs, all right,
foot.
what's the shed on? Is it on a permanent structure, or is it a slab or a block?
It's on gravel. It'll be on gravel.
Any questions or comments from the board? Lionel?
No.
Glenn? Questions or comments on this one?
No, we've allowed, in the past, as long as it's not a slab or something like that, or a foundation of permanent structure, either on blocks or a gravel base.
So, any questions or comments from the audience? So I'll entertain a negative determination, a motion for negative determination.
I make a motion for negative determination.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
We're still gonna, what time is it? Yeah, we're gonna have to wait a few minutes for, either the Commercial Drive or for 449 Glen Allen. In the meantime, if you guys wanna do the minutes, I'll put them up. The September 8th minutes.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes to sign. Do you have those printed out, Matt?
Sorry, what?
You have the 6 different minutes printed out?
I was only given one set, which was the September 8th minute, so I don't know where the other ones are. I may have missed them.
On the website, it's got them all listed on our meeting, but I printed them out today at work and promptly left them behind.
And if you want to take care of this one for the 8th, approve it, I'll put 1013.
September 8th.
These are the September 8th minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the September minutes?
I make a motion to approve September 8th minutes.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
So we've got apparently minutes from 3:10, 4:14, 5:12, 7:14, and 8:11. I seem to recall you guys approving these minutes, but we can't find a record of it. So if you guys could just give these minutes approvals, and I'll bring copies for you guys to sign at the next meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the mentioned minutes that have already been approved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye.
Can you guys just let us know when your engineer arrives?
That goes to him.
Where do you want this?
Just give it right to me, I'll take care of it. Well, while we're waiting, if you want to jump to the agenda under enforcement, if you see on the screen, I've got here under 6 Island Road. So if the commission will remember, we've had an enforcement action that actually predated my tenure. And a lot of what was going on in between times was the current homeowner was looking to do some expansion work to accommodate a family member. And we had been working out a scenario with them to take care of violations where they had altered vegetation, cut a bunch of trees down. So we were looking to maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone, have them come in with a notice of intent if they wanted to do the expansion, and then add the restoration plan on plantings onto the plan. Meantime, due to family dynamic developments, what's wound up happening now is that they're no longer going to expand. So what's happening now is they're now just gonna go up within the same footprint, no expansion of the footprint. So I believe the chairman had put it to me earlier, build up, not out. So that's what they're doing. So what I've done in the meantime is worked out a restoration scenario with the property owner through their engineer from McCarty Engineering. His name is Lar Green. Mr. Green's expertise is in plantings and restoration. So what we have on the big screen is, to the left, is the current existing conditions plan. You have, where my cursor is pointing down at the bottom, you have the existing gravel driveway. And you have this is where the area, this is part of the area that was cut out. And there was some riprap put up all along the banking here that wasn't originally there. So what I've worked out is a scenario where this gravel driveway gets removed. They'll go to the edge of the 100-foot buffer zone here and put in a paver driveway. In doing the paver driveway, that will save a lot of, I mean, that's very good for stormwater, it's very good for percolation. But they will also plant along the perimeter of the household. They'll plant trees here. They're going to do a big replanting right here where the driveway was, which is really good for the shade value of the lake as those trees mature. They're gonna put another one over here. They're gonna take out, you can see the riprap over here, they're gonna take out this section which is about like 5 feet worth of the riprap. The rest of it goes along a very steep slope down to the water. So it would be very tedious to get the remainder of that out. So what they're gonna do at the top, and I had him add the detail to an updated plan, is that, and I gave him a spec for slope plantings, which will be slope stabilization and like a wildflower mix at the same time. Something that'll attract a lot of bees, something that'll look nice, but something that'll hold that slope down. That's it. We can ratify this under enforcement. It's getting a little late in the season for them to do the planting now, but I would recommend that you guys basically vote to ratify this plan, and then I'll amend the ratified enforcement order to give them a deadline to plant of April 30th.
We gotta get this done, this has been going on way too long.
I'm sorry, what?
It's over a year now, I think.
Right.
This enforcement order's been in place and not been acted on.
Yeah, it's been in place for a while, and I've been working on getting this thing through their council. I mean, they've been to one meeting. I've been working on getting this thing through their council and getting everything compliant with building department requirements since, I want to say, March. And we've been going back and forth on the restoration planning. But we finally got something that accomplishes what this commission wants. And at the same time, will add a good beautification to the property without adding, not only not adding any more impacts due to structures, but will actually mitigate impacts that the person did in violation.
It's good to have a plan, but now here we are, it's too late to act on it. We're gonna go another 6 months before anything's done. It's
No,
really-
but if we have an enforcement order and put a deadline, I think you'll see a different tact here. And I think by the end of next spring, you'll have a nice planting finished up.
I have one question on the planting, Matt. Is there anything that they can put over that riprap, like any type of grass seeding or swale seeding that would take in there to cover? I mean, riprap never should have been dumped in there. It's kind of an eyesore. If we had something that would grow over it, some type of swale grass or something like that, would make it more,
Well, I mean, two things. One, it's tough to plant.
right, I know it
On
is.
the riprap, I know if you leave it in there long enough, the weeds are gonna come
Something's gonna grow in
through.
there, right.
So what I can ask them to do is to add a detail to the plan where, and I've seen it attempted before, where you actually get these like
Plugs or
tubes
something
with
like
shrubs
that,
in it,
yep.
and I can have them scatter them across the
Yeah, something like
riprap so
that.
that they grow in, and the shrubbery kind of just grows over the riprap.
Yeah, if there's something they could put to make that a little more presentable, I think.
Yeah, I actually worked with the commission in Tingsboro, when I was actually the director there, on a stabilization project along the Merrimack, with a very similar construct, and they did the inserted plantings,
Right.
and they worked well.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
And I know Mr. Green knows all about him. He does this stuff all the time.
I think that would be, more presentable to the neighbors and.
Yep, I'll be more than happy to have him add that in.
Is anyone here in the audience to represent this hearing? Any questions or comments from the board, Lionel?
No, no question.
Glenn?
No.
I'll entertain a motion to ratify this plan if we're happy with it.
With the addition of the plantings and the riprap.
Yeah, this plan,
Yep.
I'll make a motion to ratify this with the plantings of the riprap.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Mr. Pusatera, if you were here for 6 Island? Yes. Okay, the commission just ratified the plan? Okay? With the condition, I'm gonna talk to Mr. Green about just adding some, insert plantings in the riprap and a deadline to get these things replanted of April 30th of 2023. Because you're not gonna wanna plant it now, because everything's gonna freeze to death. But they already did. Or it'll be frosted out.
I thought we were at the end of the list, so
It was a general agenda item, and we're waiting in between hearing times, so they were able to take it out of order.
okay,
So, you're basically all set.
okay. The riprap
Oh,
is not an order of the decision? Is it a condition of this decision?
It's a condition of the decision.
But this order is regarding the trees. So I don't understand how the riprap then comes in.
Do we need to
Because the
make a motion to
riprap was
reopen the
placed in-
hearing
okay.
to discuss it?
Apparently, yeah, he represents 6 Island Road, so if you want to sit down right now, I guess we can discuss it. It's up to the commission.
Your time and
Go ahead.
So I'll entertain a motion to reopen the hearing.
I'll make a motion to reopen the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Can you state your name into the microphone, please?
Thank you so much. My name's Attorney Vincent Pusteri. I represent Cindy Fitch, and I had looked at your agenda and I saw this was on last, so I had misgauged the time, and I apologize. Just don't forget the mic. Yeah. Is Mr. Green with us on the phone? I don't know, but I thought Larry Green is our engineer. I thought he was going to call in. He's the gentleman that supplied the excellent plan for us that you guys just approved, so I appreciate that. I just respectfully request that you consider, we reviewed this prior in one of the last meetings that I was before you, and it was pretty clear that there was a prior order of this commission, not as it's currently constituted with different members, that the riprap was to go into this property. And there was an issue about maybe 5 feet of it, but that was nonetheless the prior order of the commission, and the current matter that's before this commission is about the removal of the trees. And it's suggested, respectfully, that it would be the definition of arbitrary and capricious to then order the removal of the riprap in connection with the plan. So my client really is not opposed to addressing any of these issues that you have pointed out. And I want to be clear about that. She really is not opposed to that. We are in a situation where you have an order to restore trees which were removed, and we've kind of expanded it. So that was just, I wanted to deliver that message to you folks with all due respect for the decision to make this property as the best that we can, and just ask you to consider not making that specific removal part of the condition, but I would leave it into your sound discretion. Thank you.
This is the riprap only that you're,
I'm sorry, sir.
this is the riprap only that you're requesting we remove from the?
Yes, I think it's part of the plan. I think it's going to improve the property, but anything can and will happen. And I think that once I get an order from your commission, if we don't file the appeal, then we have that, that's the order. So that's respectfully what I was suggesting. And again, she is not opposed to doing this. Matter of fact, she hired Mr. Green to prepare this plan for you to review. Thank you.
Okay, so a couple things. I had worked this out with Mr. Green, and he told me your client was in agreement to do the 4 feet.
She's going to remove
Okay,
that.
so now all of a sudden, last minute, I get this at the meeting. So honestly, it's up to the commission. I don't have a preference either way. If you guys want to just add to the enforcement order that she can leave the riprap in, but we do the tubal plantings in between the riprap, going along the riprap so something grows over it, that's fine. I think Mr. Pusteri is basically missing the fact that this thing has been under enforcement for quite a while. There's no order of conditions on the property. This is being done under enforcement.
Yes.
So it's up to the commission. I mean, if you want the 4 feet removed, that's your decision. If you want to leave it in place, I'll make sure that the plantings go in between the rocks that Mr. Whitaker and I had just discussed a little while ago. I think either way it will accomplish the same, or very similar goal.
Okay, personally, I don't know what removing that 4 feet's gonna do for the wetlands or our enforcement authority or our jurisdiction. I don't really see the point in removing it, but I'll entertain any questions or comments from the board. Lionel?
I don't see no reason to remove it.
David?
Well, my concern is, I know you said we said to put the riprap in, but my recollection, and I think we discussed it at the last meeting, is we told her to put a stone barrier in, not 20 tons of riprap. We just discussed a new plan. I like the new plan. We're gonna leave part of the riprap. We're gonna take 5 feet of it out. I asked that we put some plug plantings in to kind of cover it up a little bit, because it's kind of an eyesore. It's not a New England stone wall. It's a dump truck load of riprap. There's quite a difference. So I am in favor of the current plan just presented.
I respect that.
Okay, so, any questions or comments from the audience? Anyone here concerning this project? Okay, so I'd like a motion to either keep the vote in place that we put in or modify it to not take out the riprap?
I make a motion to keep the vote in the way it was.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Stay safe and dry tonight, guys. Take care.
Leave the motion as it stands.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Matt, can we see the agenda on the screen so we can make sure we're keeping with the times and keeping with Robert's rules?
Absolutely.
Staying on track.
The engineer is here now, too.
Right now, we're at 6:20. So, I don't know if you guys want to ask Mr. Grazowitz if he wants to wait for full 49 Glen Ellen, and we can reconvene on commercial. That's up to you guys.
First of all, are there any hearings here tonight that don't have a DEP number that we can continue?
We have the 6:25 hearing, the notice of intent for 16 Second Street. It's for the raising and the rebuilding of the existing three-bedroom home and the installation of a new septic system.
So if we're not
New
gonna hear
drilled
it,
well, rather.
if we're not gonna hear it, I don't think we need to wait till the time, because they're not gonna get a DEP number between now and then.
Okay? You're correct. We're not going to be able to do anything with it. And I did check just about 5:30, and there still wasn't a DEP number at that point.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue that one till what's the next meeting?
November, I think it's November 10th. It's not written on here. Let me look it up.
That's 6:25 you're looking at?
That's the 6:25. That would be November 10th.
I want to make a motion to continue that to November 10th at 6:05?
I'll make a motion to continue with the 6:05, November 20th.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And can you guys see what I'm putting up on your tablets, or are you?
I can see it on the screen right here.
Okay.
Minute order of conditions for Town of Winchendon.
Redevelopment Authority, or?
We're ready for it, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We want to hear this now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Okay, we've got to do the reading.
Excuse me. Pursuant to provisions Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchendon Wetlands Protection Bylaw, excuse me, the Winchendon Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, October 15th, 2022 at 6:05 p.m. to consider notice of intent filed by the Town of Winchendon Redevelopment Authority for construction of a 2,350-foot-long road with a cul-de-sac within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetland and within the wetland resource area of Commercial Drive, Assessors Map 12-0-Lot 23. The hearing will be held second floor auditorium, Winchendon Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchendon, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons is available by advance request.
Okay, Matt, would you start us off, please? Is anyone here to represent this hearing? Could you please have a seat and state your name into the mic?
Vogel from Howard Stein Hudson.
You know the mic.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Into the microphone.
Patrick Vogel from Howard Stein Hudson.
Make sure you grab the mic when you do your presentation.
Just for clarification, these meetings get recorded, and people might want to watch them from home at a later date, and if you're not speaking near the mic, they can't hear you, and it's frustrating for people at home.
Sure thing. I don't know if you have the electronic copies of the plans, but I do have this presentation plan for some clarity.
Yeah, you can go ahead, I'm looking it up. It could be on the last file.
Bring this up here. So, for some familiarity with the parcel, it's I think it's called Off Commercial Drive, and it is between Bemis Road and the rail trail. Commercial Drive is right off of Route 140. The parcel's roughly 68 acres, plus or minus, and we're looking to do a 4-lot commercial subdivision. The cul-de-sac road would come off of Commercial Drive through an existing 50-foot wide right-of-way adjacent to the Milek Hockey commercial business there, and come into the parcel. The 4 lots would be relatively evenly divided throughout the existing parcel, and enter into a cul-de-sac about 60% of the way down into the parcel. As you can see here, these different colored areas which are hatched. I think the plans may not be up yet, but they're hatched. These are the wetland areas, and then we have the buffers delineated here. So the road is situated specifically to dodge the wetlands to the best of their abilities. And there is one proposed crossing right there with a small impact, just under 1,600 square feet, with wing walls on either side and a box culvert underneath. There is a potential vernal pool right there, adjacent to the road. And we're doing our best to dodge that and retaining the road as best as possible. Again, trying to make this as limited impact as we can. We reduce the kind of the road to 24 feet in width, and the cul-de-sac has a 30-foot width of pavement just for the ease of turnaround for the type of uses that would be for the lots. And then we're showing kind of, proposed septic kind of locations, just generalized, because you know we need to have them later on this plan. And turn it over to some more detailed plans. These have all been broken out into 4 different sheets to show some more detail for the layout materials, the grading and drainage. There's a full plan and profile set that have been done for this entire design, and utility design as well, to show compliance with the regulations. Again, coming in from Commercial Drive, the existing kind of Milek building here, and the 24-foot width with the existing 50-foot right-of-way, and we're matching the 50-foot right-of-way as you come into the development. We're showing Cape Cod berm, and it's kind of stuck here, sorry. We have some areas of proposed drainage over here, and here. They're infiltration ponds, and we have catch basins and various proprietary systems along the way to meet your town's regulations for drainage and removal rates. We're showing street trees along the proposed subdivision road, and you have here for this crossing We have the wing walls that I talked about, and there's a box culvert that goes underneath. It's a 2 foot high by 4 foot wide, and then we're showing the replication areas to meet the standards there. Again, these are the buffers for the edge of the wetlands, 50 foot, 100 foot. That's that vernal pool area that I talked about earlier. And then there's the some grading plans, which just shows how all the grading cuts into the topography of the existing land. We have had this initially reviewed by Ty and Bond, and they issued some initial comments. We issued those back to them, a set of responses, and it seems like there's just a couple of items which were shown outstanding to the commission today. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have. I'd be happy to answer anything, or
Clearly well-designed, very professional.
thank you.
And I will say that, I will remind the commission, the members that were on, when this area got approved for the cutting, that there was supposed to be an engineering office moved here, and I believe a grocery store, which never came to fruition, so these were already planned to be developed. We've already put the culverts in for the store that was gonna be there, that's not there. And so, just keep that in mind when we're voting on this, that it was already approved to be developed. Any questions or comments from the board, Lionel?
No, no questions at this time.
Dave?
I've been out to the site. I mean, we had looked at it previously, a number of years ago now.
Yeah.
It's all grown in compared to what it was, but my only concern was the crossing. It seems like it's going to be okay. I'll defer to Matt on that, but I know that was a big issue when it was first brought up, was that the crossing, and it was a different type of drainage in there.
Yeah, the culverts were a nightmare.
Yeah.
The culverts were the wrong,
Yeah, right.
They had to
And
be
there was a
dug out and put back
big
in.
issue with the backup and all kinds of problems to start with, but.
Glenn?
and-
Good with it?
Is it behind the Mileck? Is that where it is, in that cutting up there?
Right.
Yep, there were gonna be three things, Milek, and then straight ahead another thing, which is, I believe, an engineering office, and then to the left was supposed to be a big grocery store or something. I forget what it was. It's been years.
Gymnastics Center,
Gymnastics center,
Okay.
yeah.
I know it's been years, and
Olympic Realty Trust.
nothing ever came of it. It's just sat. It's had to be, what was
10
it,
years
10 years ago?
Yeah, I would say.
And nothing's ever happened with those two, the top and the left. Milek moved in and moved from their old location, but the other two, they've just been sitting dormant, so it'd be nice to see the land used since we did already approve it to be developed. Any questions or comments from the audience members? Is anybody here for this? I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I think it's good to finally do something with it. It's already been cut. Matt, do you have anything?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of issues with this project that we've resolved. Reviews have been good. The endangered species review is clean. The only issues that are still outstanding to me are issues that they really haven't addressed. The soil borings being performed to determine the bearing capacity of the soils for the culvert foundation design. The footing shown in the detail, according to our reviewer, appear inadequate for the anticipated roadway loads. The engineer's response for the applicant was that the project has added this requirement as a formal waiver request, and that HSH requests that this requirement be made a condition of approval. The second were the retaining walls on both sides of the culvert crossing, and that the consultant should consider providing an elevation or section that demonstrates how the retaining walls will relate to or interface with the culvert structure. The applicant's response was the project has added this as a requirement for a formal waiver request. HSH requests that this requirement be made a condition of approval. The next concern was the existing grade at test pit number 19 appears to be at a certain elevation that they named out. And apparently our reviewer had a problem with the logs. HSH basically said that they would conduct an additional test during initial construction phase of the road, when access will be more readily available, and information by the testing will be used to reanalyze the basin. So, in non-technical, simple Reader's Digest terms, I consider these as some pretty critical items to give us IOUs on during construction. I think the rest of the area has been well-engineered, just like you said, Mr. Chair. I do agree, they've taken a lot of good concerns, but these are critical items related to stormwater and to our crossing over the wetland.
So we can add those items to the order of conditions.
So what I'm gonna ask is either the commission require these questions to be answered, or the applicant agree to have the reviewer that we had, which was Ty and Bond, continue their 53G oversight, and that you agreed when it comes time for this, before construction happens, to be done, that Ty and Bond review this and review the work outside and be present. If you agree to that, I'm comfortable. Because if any amendment to the order of conditions is gonna be required, you'd have to come back. If they don't agree to it, Mr. Chairman, I mean, it's up to the commission, but my recommendation would be a denial for lack of information, because there's critical information that's missing here. Now, we can give an order to have them continue, to have us provide oversight in case they need to come back. Or they can just continue and provide the information. Either way, I'll be fine with it.
Do you feel comfortable answering that question tonight? Do you have the authority?
Yeah, we can agree to that.
You will agree to it?
Yep.
Okay, then if they agree to it, then, if they agree to the condition with the third party reviewing these items, then I'll write the order up that way, and I'll be fine with it.
Okay, my question is, who owns this land right now?
I'm sorry, what?
Who owns this land right now?
The redevelopment authority.
So Winchton owns it? Yes. So we'll be responsible for plowing and maintenance of it and all that, and,
Once this project's gone through, we're gonna transfer the land ownership.
oh, okay. And then we're not gonna get stuck with plowing it, maintaining it, and, okay, so they're gonna take full responsibility for it?
Correct.
Yeah, because if we don't have this addressed, I can practically guarantee you that the state will intervene. So as long as we have those items in.
The
I think
53G
that'll-
you're talking about?
Yeah, the 53G, as long as they have the 53G, and I think it'll be fine.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Is anyone here to talk about this project? Questions or comments from the board, Lionel?
I think I agree with Matt. As long as that condition is met, we should be able to approve it.
And that will go in the order of conditions, so that will be binding. David?
I'm okay with it.
Glenn? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for an order of conditions with the 53G, and
So moved.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank
And so, Patrick, you and I should be in touch to coordinate with the order of conditions and make sure that everything is good to go.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Good work.
Thank you.
Good work with the plans. Which everybody had plans that nice.
Actually, it's a tough site, and they did a real nice job with it.
Right.
Yeah, it is a tough spot.
I know that those culverts were a big problem, and then nothing ever happened. We put culverts in on the left, if you turn left, and that was
Yeah, they never work.
Those culverts have never been maintained either.
we're gonna have to be maintained now.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda, I will pull it up, seems to have
I
disappeared.
wish it wasn't Holland.
Here we go. It would be for Jamie Van Dyke, the amendment to the order of conditions at 449 Glen Allen.
Okay. Paul, you here for this hearing?
Yes.
Okay, could you state your name into the mic, please, for the record?
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering, for Jamison Van Dyke. Good evening.
Good evening.
Do we have a reading for this one?
Yeah, take a look for it.
This is, it's a continuation, isn't it?
It was continued from last time.
I've got,
Well, it's a continuation, we
Yeah, it
don't need
was
to do the reading.
continued.
Supposed to have a whole new bunch of plans.
I don't have. Oh, up borrow it from you.
We don't need the reading if it's a continuation.
No, you don't. So essentially, based on what happened with the enforcement order and the items from the last hearing from the last meeting, this is a continuance, and the applicant was required to amend the order of conditions to account for the structures that are on the property that weren't conditioned under the original order.
Paul, you have the floor.
You want me to read it or not?
No.
No, okay.
You have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you. I brought a few copies, in case we didn't have an overhead to look at.
We should have an overhead. I'm looking for it now.
Yeah, we'll share one. This is Dan Dyke's on the radar.
Oh, I know, that's right. In the garage, he changed the plan on.
Actually, no, I don't see it loaded. It looks like it wasn't loaded on the website. If you guys want to start, I'll just get it, I'll get it from my computer to a thumb drive and then put it up.
So, during construction, I'm sure you remember, we had an order of conditions to build the, well, to raise the existing house, build a new one. The location and the square footage of that house came out to be in accordance with the order that was issued. Well, for the house and also for the, up by the road where we call as-built foundation, the garage/office. During construction, Jameson was building some walls up by the roadway. You can see the, we've got a label there. There's the squares with the walls between them, proposed decorative stone walls. And some of that work is, when you get over by the septic system, he put a wall there in and curved it around, and you can see that it's a little bit inside the 100-foot buffer zone there. And that's basically what happened up top. Some trees were cut. I know Matt met with Jameson, some trees were replaced, and, you know, they need to be looked at for whether they're still, the health of them, you know, due to the lack of water when they were put in. The other thing that happened here, when he was taking the house down and doing his foundation, there was a lot of muck, soft yielding material around the house. So he took the muck out and put sand in there. What we would like to do with that area, there's already good sand there. What we're proposing is to build an area with stone, stone patio, basically, a pervious patio with 1.5 inch stone, and then with pea stone, and then with 1-inch gaps to the surface. We ran hydrology for this. I kept it out of the floodplain. That's why the shape's a little bit irregular in the corner there. This proposed pervious patio will take every rain storm event. And so most of it's going to come directly off of the building onto the pervious patio, except for the back area where we're proposing a roof drain, and you'll see it on the south side of the as-built foundation. We need to bring the roof drains and then pipe that into the stone bed that's under the pervious patio. So these, well, the other thing he would like to do is better define the driveway and the turnaround down there. Right now, you pretty much go wherever you want to go down there. If we defined it with some gravel, you made it a gravel turnaround, people would stay on that. Those are essentially the changes from the original concept that we had an order on. We were going to put chambers in the ground before. We've already got this area disturbed, and we got sand there.
I found the
Thinking
plan that's up on the
might
big
as well
screen.
use it.
One concern I have, Paul, is that gravel's awful close to the lake. What are we gonna do when we plow it? Where's that gravel gonna go? You sure that's the best choice? That's gonna go onto the sides into toward the house, and you're not gonna be able to plow that driveway with gravel.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do
You're gonna be
typical
dumping gravel
maintenance.
every year. You're getting a load of gravel every year to re-gravel it.
Regrading, depends how much he puts down to start with, but he's gonna have to, regrade it and maintain it.
What's gonna happen with the sand from the gravel? Where's it going? Into the lake. And if you plow it around here, it's gotta come along this water edge.
There's a lot of things on this drawing that are gonna shift over time. Sand under gravel, and then gravel, or sand under your pavers, and those are pavers, I'm assuming, when you're talking about the pervious patio, those are paving stones?
Yeah, so, they're gonna have pea stone underneath and in the joints. There's actually going to be basically a bench wall going around it, so there'll be, you can see in the detail, there's a seat wall, which will, that'll keep everything on the patio. But I mean, if the commission, I could change the shape of that turnaround, make it a T or something like that, maybe a little less.
Commission changed the shape of it? We didn't create the shape of it.
Pardon me?
You said commission changed the shape of it? We didn't create the shape of it.
No, what he was offering to do was to change the shape of it to a T,
Oh, okay.
something a little
Yeah.
less, a little less grand.
So Matt, where are you on this?
I'd actually like to see that turnaround changed. I think it goes a little bit much. And I'd also like you to talk to Mr. Van Dyke about shrinking that patio down. It's getting awfully close to the water.
Anyone
I
in
can
the audience
understand.
here for this?
Like, you guys can see the screen and everything?
Yes.
So I can understand him wanting to do something here because he's gonna wanna access his dock here. Going around this far, I don't think is quite necessary. I think you can, if you chop that section out, pervious patio is a great thought. And I know he wants to have access to, where his dock is, and that's fine. I just don't, there's no dock access or anything like that there. If anything, he's got shrubbery going along this area where the hay bales currently are, and him and I have spoken about in the spring about maybe thickening the brush layer up. So this would be kind of counterproductive to that part of it, but.
Yeah, those pavers look like they come within a couple feet of the lake.
I'd like to make a comment, if I
Go
can.
ahead, David.
So this whole project came in, Paul, you brought it in with Jameson, I don't know, maybe a year ago. It was a while. And we beat it back and forth about the house and how close to the lake was and the whole 9 yards. And what really bothers me is Jameson's been in business for, I don't know, as long as I can remember, 10 years. He's not that old, but he's been in business for a while, and his dad's been in business for a while. And when he took down that house and ran into soft ground and knew something had to be done, he should have stopped, and he should have came back here. We shouldn't be here right now saying, okay, maybe we can correct it. It should have been done ahead of time, not now. That's what bothers me. I mean, he's getting what he wants, essentially, because of what he did. I don't like it. personally. And I don't know if the board would entertain a fine or some type of a penalty, but I just don't like it. Seems to me like he's been in the business long enough and he knows better. That's my opinion. And it's not the board's opinion right now, but it's my opinion. And it frustrates me that we're here looking at this the way we're looking at that. Because we allowed him to move the house around on the lot. We didn't have to. As I recall, we let him move it to square it up on the lot, so it benefited us and it benefited him. And then he takes it a few steps further to benefit himself. And now we're trying to accommodate him.
Well,
I don't like it.
I wanted to come in with a plan that, after, we sat down with him and said, look, we're going back in with a plan. He said, well, I'd like to do this. So, I mean, obviously, you know, the pervious patio's not there. It's proposed. It doesn't have to be. Some of it could be there, none of it could be there. It's up to you guys.
Right. You're cleaning up his mess, is what you're doing.
Well, I didn't want to, you know, if he wanted to put a patio on here, you know, now's the time to ask
Yeah.
versus, you know,
Well, he already dug it
after
out,
the
dug
fact.
it out. He already disturbed the whole area, so now something's got to be done with it, I agree.
Excuse me. My opinion on this, I don't like the plan at all. I want to be quite frank with you. He's too close to the water over here. We allowed him to be close to the water on one side. Now he's gonna put a patio in there. Now you're proposing a driveway with gravel. All that sand's gonna go down into the lake. No, I say no, period.
Any other questions or comments? Glenn? Nope. The patio is clearly too close to the water. That's obvious. I mean, the house is too close to the water. But it was pre-existing, so we couldn't
Yeah.
deny him, we couldn't take his structure from him. So we had to allow him to, all he did was turn it. So it's still, there was already a foundation there, and we couldn't do basically a taking of a dwelling by denying him to rebuild it. So he turned it. It never would have been allowed today, you know, under today's bylaws. That house would have never been built, right? So now he wants to put a patio right up to the water. And I think it's too close. I think you need to come back with a different plan. The patio is way too close to the water. And the gravel driveway, I just don't think is a good idea, because you're gonna plow that gravel right into the ground and into the lake and everywhere. I don't know. Gravel's gonna migrate.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna have to continue this to our next hearing, because we're not getting a yes vote tonight, clearly.
I'm thinking it needs to be restored similar to what it was. That's what we thought it was gonna be. And that was, there was a lawn around there. He could put pavers down to his dock, or, you know, a little walkway or something, but this is kinda over the top. That's the way I look at it. This is, I don't know, like I said, I'm frustrated with it. We shouldn't be here.
The boat's down here by the sand area now. That's where the dock is. So,
I haven't been down.
Okay, this, yeah, that's where the dock used to be, where we're showing
and
it. I
that's
didn't
where
know.
it is now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And he
There's a
wants
dock
to
right about
change
here.
it to the boat being on the right-hand side of what we're looking at.
There was a dock right here now.
Yeah, it's off the sandy area.
Yep.
Yeah, there were two boats there last time we
Yeah,
were there.
what's wrong with that being the dock instead of having the wrap around?
So you want to continue it? We've got commissioners that want the applicant to examine restoring the area as is and sticking to the original plan, or proposing alternatives that are less reduced.
Right.
And then Commissioner Whitaker mentioned about a fine.
So there was a discussion earlier about $600 in fines, or identifiable,
Well, I looked at it, and I've identified $600 in fines. That's based on, what I found was about $1,200 worth of fines, and then you have to take some off for mitigation. For example, when I brought it to Mr. Grazowitz's attention, he went right out and did, I mean, what you have here is based on an as-built. That's not just, he didn't just draw on the plan. He went out and shot everything and located everything, so that's a mitigating factor, and he did it right away, so that's even more of a mitigating factor. And then there's the fact that the house on the as-built actually shows that it's smaller. It's not as close to the lake as what was originally approved. So that's a mitigating factor as well. You could do finding on work within the buffer zone that was unauthorized and failure to come forward, all under the bylaw. So, yeah, $300 apiece, that would total $600.
Could I ask one more question? This as-built garage up on top, is that gonna be an apartment over above it, or just a garage? Because I've never seen
No,
a
it-
garage configured
no.
that way.
It can't be an apartment because our septic loading is based on a house.
I was gonna say that
So
septic field
it can't be a
was way too
living,
small.
it can't be a living thing.
I was gonna say that septic field looks way too small for that to have bedrooms above it, so.
This whole project, it just seems like it's taking more and more, give me more, give me more, give me more, like inching closer and closer and taking little bits and pieces and just growing and growing and growing. I mean, this house was hard enough to approve. And now he wants the patio all around it. I mean, it's just,
Bigger than the house if you add it all up.
it's just taking, every time he comes before us, he's got more, I guess, offensive proposals.
Look at all the stonework he's got done to that driveway. I couldn't believe it when I went by it.
I don't know, I'll entertain a motion to continue it, because we're not gonna get a yes vote tonight, clearly.
I'll make a motion to continue it to November 20th.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks, Paul.
Right, welcome.
One thing I would like to ask the commission before Mr. Krasowitz leaves, there was a proposed new driveway entrance, and the old driveway entrance is gonna be removed. And my understanding was that well, that's what I have on the order. That's what I have on the original plan, because it didn't show the existing driveway. So he's leaving the existing driveway in?
There was never any intent to take that other entrance out. It
Okay.
might have been just off the page, so it didn't show, but that was the original,
Because, I mean, if you guys look, here's the 75-foot zone here. Here's the 100-foot here, and there's the second egress out of the 100-foot. And a very small portion of that egress is between the 100 and the 75. So I don't have an issue with him leaving that there. I just wanted to make sure you guys were comfortable with just that part of it right now, because he is right, the order was a little dubious based on the plans and the way the order was written.
I don't have a problem with the driveway.
Just that part up here where I'm circling. And most of it's out of the buffer zone to begin with, so.
Let's just clarify that on the new plans, Paul.
pardon me?
Clarify the egress on the new plans, what we're doing for entrance.
Okay, yeah,
The
it
old one
does
and-
show, the new, I'll call it, the north entrance was constructed way back when, in the original work, and there was never any intent to remove that, the curb cut to the south, just to leave it.
Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted that clarified because it didn't really show on the order in the plans clearly enough. And if Mr. Grazowitz is representing that that's what the intent, I mean, I trust his word.
yep, I do too.
So, Paul, I'm gonna issue 2 tickets for $300 apiece to Jamie. He can pay the town clerk.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You got, oh, that's right, Doyle Ave, Hill Street, forgot. I was gonna say you just went and sat back down. Paul.
Do we have full-size copies in our office, Matt? Do we need one?
Yeah, we do, but I'll take the extra anyway, because I could always use them for field plans. I would have written them out now, but the ticket book's in my car. The next one we have is an amended order of conditions for the Ingleside, for the amphitheater park, for the disc golf. At the last meeting, the commission didn't have an issue with the disc golf. You just wanted it on paper as part of the order. So I had them file for an amendment. I will pull that up.
Well, there was a new email that came in where it's been revised.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Actually, it's probably right here. Okay, so this is what we have.
Good evening.
All right, just give your name with the mic, please.
Yep, Christopher Tompkins.
Can you explain to us the differences between this one and the last plan?
From the last plan, in the last presentation I put, none.
I believe I got a new email today, or recently, very recently, saying changes to the disc golf.
Not from I.
No, Nicole was basically sending what you're seeing on the screen out in advance. When she meant changes, she was referring to the amendment that's before you tonight.
The amendment, what's been amended?
So, what you issued an original order of conditions for the amphitheater project, okay? I'm going to admit Mr. Green. I just got somebody that signed in on Zoom. So, you guys issued an order of conditions for the full amphitheater project, okay? This is taking place on the amphitheater grounds during construction while everything is undergoing. It's in addition to what was approved for the amphitheater project. So because it's basically the course is going over an area of wetlands and in the buffer zone, that you know, it's the same plan, you didn't have any objection to it, but you wanted it documented, and the legal way to do it is to have them file for the amendment to the order of conditions. This would then go in the file with the plans for the amphitheater park. I would take the full permit, rewrite the permit, amend it, add this document to it. Doesn't change the expiration date of their original order, it just adds to the permit. That way you guys have one file, one permit, everything all in one place. So your regulatory authority is intact, and we don't have multiple permits and multiple projects flying around on the same property.
So what are we looking for tonight? A motion to
You're
accept the
looking to
amendment?
approve this is the plan they originally presented you. So you're looking to approve the disc golf as an amendment to the current order of conditions for the amphitheater.
Any questions or comments from the board? Lionel?
I've got one question. Are these basket locations going to be on cement, on permanent slabs of cement? Or
So no, the baskets are essentially like a signpost, and then the T-pads can either be rubber mats. The nicer ones are usually some sort of like a brick patio or something like that, but there's many different media that they use for that.
So it can be an impervious surface.
What's that?
We can make it out of paving stones or
Yes.
impervious surface?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is played in the wintertime, so you don't want ice building up on it and stuff like that as well, so you want it to be easily cleaned off and things of
Right.
that nature.
Dave?
Okay. I'll add that as a
I'm good with
condition to the amendment.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Glenn?
Glenn Campbell?
Oh,
Catherine?
that's right. Any questions or comments from the audience? Rich? State your name into the mic, please.
Yes, Richard Lucia, 236 Maple Street. I'm in a butter to the property. I just want to make it clear I'm not against the disc golf, but I do have questions. One, I got this certified letter to come and attend the hearing. I've never seen any print of the proposed layout. Can you put that back up?
Yep, I will in 2 seconds.
Because I want to know how far they have to stay away from the vernal pool. because that vernal pool has two tributaries. One goes due south into Whitney Pond that runs through the back behind the old house. The other one goes due east that runs into the cove. And I'm just wondering how close they are to that vernal pool and what's the distance that they have to stay away from that. And there's one thing I notice on here, there's no distances. Has this been surveyed and laid out to tell where everything is going to be located? And if it is too close or far enough away? The other thing is, I got this certified letter, it's dated the 3rd. I signed for it and got it on Wednesday of last week. I could come into the office on Thursday, and then Nicole has not been there all week. So I've never been able to get a copy of this layout to give me any information. Based on that, I'd ask that this be continued so that I can receive some information and get information on what the proposal is. He did say that the baskets were going to be there like a street sign, but if they're cemented into a ground, they're a permanent structure.
I think I read there's no cement, right?
We
Not
talked
cement.
about it's a signpost which would have a cement base to it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we discussed that in the
But one
first
thing to
meeting of
keep in
3.
mind, when we're doing distances and setbacks and all this, I've never seen anyone accurate with a Frisbee. They're going here, they're going
I
there.
understand that.
People are going into the wetlands.
I'm
It's just
talking
a
about
fact
the
of life.
structures and how close they are to the vernal pools.
just as-
Because the Boy Scout had to be so far away from the water and stuff. Well, I can see what you got, but
Yeah, there
what
are
are,
distances actually on the south side of that.
okay,
The
but
top
I've
side
never
was-
been able to get that plan.
No, I apologize. We've had 3 meetings about this, it's open
Yeah,
to the
but
town.
this is the only one that came certified where I was notified you were having meetings. You were having meetings, but the abutters were never notified. And I would want to be notified, I would want to review it.
We didn't require green cards on this?
Actually, that's why he got the certified mail, because we required the green cards.
So the abutters were notified.
So he was notified a week in advance, and I do apologize for the inconvenience of not being able to get a hold of Nicole because she's out with COVID, and I've been out with a back injury. I didn't see any messages left for us about you being interested in the plans or any return calls.
Stopped in today, and, you know, that's my first opportunity, and even if I stopped in, I couldn't get anything. Tiffany doesn't have the information that I was looking for, and I've never seen anything prior notifying an abutter.
You've been properly notified, and I realize it's inconvenient, but the whole purpose of them hearing is to answer your concerns. Now, in answering, I can answer the vernal pool issue.
Go ahead.
The vernal pool is internal to the wetlands on the system. The maximum that this area comes in close contact with that vernal pool area's vernal pool wetlands is about 75 feet. It's greater than 100 feet to the vernal pool. This is a non-earth project other than some posts. It's very limited in its impact. So he's working within the buffer zone and over some wetlands, but he's not within the limits of the vernal pool. So as long as he's not within the limits of the vernal pool, which is a very good distance away, because I've walked this whole area.
But that was
vernal
down
pool will
behind the
remain
old house, right? It was down the hill behind the old house?
Correct. It'll remain undisturbed.
Yeah.
As far as this stuff goes, I mean, these plans are sufficient for planning purposes.
Since Tiffany's name was mentioned, I want to give her an opportunity to speak. Do you have anything to say?
The other question I have is, how does this
Just a
get the
second,
piggyback?
Tiffany has the floor.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that Rick did stop in the office today, but he didn't ask me for these plans because I do have access for them. You asked me some questions about the disc golf, but you didn't specifically ask for the plans, so I'm sorry about that, but I do have access to them if you had asked.
Then I should have requested that and should have been handed a copy. The other thing is, how does this piggyback onto the amphitheater? Is that something that they can do? Because I have the plans to the amphitheater, and this would have to be an amendment to the plan. Has that been done by the architect?
No, it's being done by the disc golf people, and this is actually a very routine procedure under the State Wetland Protection Act, and it's allowable under our local bylaw. This is actually the legal way to do this, to allow this project to go. So we had them re-advertise. We're opening up just this portion of the old permit, or the permit that's currently in effect. It's being held at a public hearing, which you got notified for, and you're here now.
Right.
And then if the commission decides to approve it, it winds up amending, adding to that permit. That's actually the cleanest way you go about that procedure. So there's nothing extraordinary or accommodating about it. This actually has been quite inconvenient to the disc golf people to have to go through this procedure. So I'm making them go through it just like I'd make anybody else.
What about the streams that come off of it? How close are they to that one? Because I know that this commission has given a waiver to the Winchton Community Park to put a footbridge over the area that goes into the cove. I know it's expired because they never did the darn thing, and that was not done. And that's a stream that goes in there. How far are they supposed to be from that stream, and where is the stream located on this? I'd like to see the print, basically, and then it may quell some of my questions, but without being able to see it and have the distances, I've got a concern about the wetlands and stuff. And, you know, it's been dry, so, you know, the core samples there should be core samples on how wet it is. Because you know, any wetland, if you take out the trees, you can't go by the ferns, you have to do core samples on the sediment to determine whether it's wet or not wet. When that field was built, it was irrigated so that all the water runs down into that area that is now going to be proposed to be used.
So one question I have, just to clarify, are there going to be bridges?
Yes, we did discuss, we're going to have somewhat elevated
Going to be
bridges.
elevated so that it's not going to disturb flow of
Correct, it'll still allow flow.
animals and water and all
It
that?
won't be a permanent structure. It's, again, just going to be allowing passage over that on some level. For the one comment, there are, again, markings on there speaking to the 50, 75, and 100-foot buffer you can see on the southern side. This is actually off of an engineering drawing. I just colored it so that you could see it and interpret it very easily. But I've also marked all of the buffers on the other side of that as well.
Yeah, we established that last meeting that there's going to be, the bridges are going to be elevated and not flat
Laid
on
on
the
the
ground, so.
The tee boxes, you mean?
No, the bridges. The bridges crossing, so that's an intermittent
Oh,
stream
okay.
that's actually dry 90% of the year. But regardless, we're still going to be building bridges over that area just to.
I just wanted to reiterate that for anybody who didn't see the last meeting, that there's nothing going to be touching the ground aside from the footings.
No.
Everything, the water, the animals, or turtles, whatever, will still be able to go underneath them.
Correct.
Well, that's another thing that's going to impact the wildlife. And I've got pictures of the deer that were there on Sunday morning.
Deer?
Deer, 2 yearlings with its mother. You know, in addition to wild turkeys and the other animals that are in there. There were 15 wild turkeys in there, and you know, they're going to be impacted by this. And then the other thing that's going to be impacted is once you put in a disc golf, it restricts the usage of the other parts of the park that are supposed to be a municipal park. What's going to happen when people want to walk through there or down through the trails?
This is actually in a separate area from the
How's that
trails.
gonna
This is an
affect the,
unused piece of
trails?
property that's not currently planned for anything
Yeah.
else. So we're actually trying to add this and integrate it into the trails to be used for more recreational purposes.
I understand that. I'm just concerned about the access and
Yep.
ability near that vernal pool and the streams.
Basically, it's already used for public access, it's already used by people, so this is just a different usage of it, is the way I see it.
Right, but that's only 3. There's 6 more to go.
Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, the others are not
No
planned to be
bridges.
anywhere near wetlands.
You know, but I'd still like to be able to review the plan and do some other research before this thing goes forward. This is the first time I've ever been notified.
Well, why don't you make an appointment to come into the conservation office and review the plan?
Yeah, well, that's what I attempted to do. This is the first time they sent me a letter.
No, I get it.
Yeah, you know, so there's been no other
I mean,
notification.
I think we're gonna be okay, I really do.
You
I think
know.
it's gonna be I think it's a great use of the park.
I watched the
I
major
understand your
argument down
concerns,
there in
but
a
if you
shouting
want,
match one
you
day
seem to
when
wanna
they
see
were
the
in there.
plan, make an appointment, come in and see Matt, and go over the plan. You know, call up and, just like you're going to the doctor's, I'm gonna be here at 2:00,
Yeah,
you know?
not a problem. I just would like to have time to review all of that prior to this being approved and just, gone forward. Because I know there's other neighbors that weren't available, but
Not available now?
you don't call them in a meeting in the middle.
All right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue for 1 month. That'll give you a month's
Yes,
time to review your
that'll be
plan.
plenty of time.
And we'll bring it back. Okay?
I'll second
All in
that
favor?
motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So we'll continue it to our next meeting.
Thank you.
I'll probably even play.
That's the hope, is to get.
Oh, well, yeah. I'll make an appointment. Where do I find you?
At the Conservation Office, just let Nicole know when she should be back on Monday.
You try- We're cutting into Monday night.
I see Mr. Green on here. I'm just gonna
I'm gonna go close the
talk to
door.
him here. All right. Larry, can you hear me? Larry Green?
This was designed, it was a cow farm.
Looks like he may be having some trouble. It says he's connecting to audio.
Looks like he's having a problem with
Plus, he's up there twice, which is abnormal.
accessing audio. That's probably why.
Yeah, he must have some, I don't know what he's got.
Yeah, it's going to voicemail. So I sent him a note telling him that we were all set, so.
He was part of that last hearing?
He was actually part of the Island Road.
Okay.
So we got 16 you continued, so now we have a request for a determination for 389 Elmwood.
This is 389 Elmwood we're doing? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, pursuant to provisions, Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Winchton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Winchton Conservation Commission will hold public hearing on Thursday, October 13th, 2022, 6:30 PM to consider request for determination of applicability filed by Heather Doobie for proposed work within the 50-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland at 389 Elmwood Road, Assessors Map 3D1, Parcel 7. The proposed work includes installation of a new sewage disposal system at an existing single-family dwelling. The hearing will be held at the second-floor auditorium, Town Hall, 109 Front Street, Winchton, Mass. Alternative translations and accommodations for disabled persons is available by advanced request.
Hello, could you state your name into the mic, please?
John DeLine from DeLine Engineering.
Hey, John.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm looking to upgrade the septic at this property, and I wanted to come before you because this is a very tough situation, how tight the lot is and everything, so I was hoping to kind of gauge your thoughts on it before I finalize the plans on it, because it is in a riverfront protection area, it's very close to the river. The lot is only 11,000 square feet in area, and the way the house is situated, the only place that a replacement system can go is on the side of the house between that and the river. So it is going to have to be built up a little bit. It is going to have to be a pump system. but it is gonna be, the leaching facility is gonna be only about 20 feet from the high water mark on the river. So I don't know if, I normally would just hit it, send it into Matt or the Conservation Commission, but I wanted to kind of see what your thoughts are before I finalize things.
Dare
So
I ask what is there now?
something in that area there, so,
Probably not much.
yeah. It'll certainly be a vast improvement over what's there, but there's just no place else to go with it, you know, just, it's so tight, so. My plan is to,
Just like all of them were.
I could push it over to where the driveway is and push in there, but it doesn't really gain any distance to the riverfront area. So the plan is to have a block wall along the driveway to preserve the driveway. And then, you know, basically grade into whatever else is there too as well, so. And Matt has he's pulling it up or whatever, Mass GIS on it, so.
There you go.
Yep. Lot lines are a little bit off, but they all should shift over.
That's it right here. Here's your stream. Floodplain involved?
From what I could tell, it's very corner of the property, but it doesn't go up to where the septic system and the property up further shows it as being more into it. But based on the riverbank and things like that, it doesn't seem to extend over quite that far. It's tough to tell at the scale that those mapping is at relative to the property, because the things just are, they're tight, but just a little bit of a distance kind of screws up your analysis of it.
It is a tight lot.
Well, this overlay is showing an AE through the whole property.
Yeah, based on what I saw and other things, it's not quite right, because that's,
It wouldn't be the first time the overlays are off. But
Yeah.
it looks like it's showing a zone AE. I would double check that, because you're showing a zone, basically a zone X here, and a zone X here, and sandwiched in between.
yeah, it's all off a bit, so.
Could be all off. And
The property lines are certainly always off on this website anyway. That property line's going right through the house.
so all you're really doing is replacing the septic system?
Yeah, and that's it. We're not expanding any flows or anything like that, so you can kind of see roughly where the leach field and the pump chamber and the septic tank would go. I played around with a little bit more, I've done a lot of maneuvering and so forth. We weren't able to perk it because of the high water table and because of how much fills there, so we sent out a sample to a soil lab, UMass. That came back with an estimated perk rate. It ends up requiring 1,000 square foot of leaching area, but I'm gonna go with an innovative alternative system to get a reduction of that down to 600 square feet of leaching area that allows me to fit something in rather than going with the full 1,000, so.
Is this a conventional system?
No, it'll be an IA system.
Do you ever think of using a geomat?
It's something similar to that.
It is similar?
Yeah.
So you don't really have that much for grading on this, then?
What's that?
You don't have that much for grading, like it's not.
No, it's not too bad. I got it down as close as I can to the water table, just for cost, but also, minimize, how much is in the riverfront area.
Well, I mean, I don't have an issue with approving this as a determination. There's very limited places it can go.
Right.
He's using a system that basically doesn't make a big mound. It leaves it as close to existing grade as possible. I've worked with similar systems that do the same thing, especially in an area that might be floodplain or might not. I don't have a problem approving this as a negative determination.
Yeah, not many choices there on the lot.
Improvement of whatever.
Well, it's definitely an improvement, but it's in a really tight spot. It doesn't have very many alternatives at all.
Yeah, and on the, my plan shows more how tight it is once the property lines are shifted over, where the house is and where the driveway and, the riverfront is, so once you look at that more closely. Like I said, I tried, it's like, well, if we take out the driveway, we do that, then, but I don't gain anything to the riverfront area, so just keeping it within the grassed area, putting a block wall around. I thought if we could gain the 50 feet by doing that, but we don't. We don't really gain anything, I still need to do a little more work with the plan to get it approved through the Board of Health, but I was mainly just trying to see where I went with, how the Conservation Commission felt about it, because it is a tight lot in a difficult area, so, and this is one of the closest ones I've had to, a riverfront area or something like that, so.
I honestly don't know what we could say about this. We'll change it. It is what it is. It's a tight lot, like most of them that come before us.
Yeah.
You can't deny it, because they need a septic system. Is it failing Title V?
They know it won't pass. I mean, it's original to the house, so she's not quite sure what she wants to do with the property, but in any event, she wants to make sure that the system's functioning the way it should, and, if she does decide to go forth with the sale, that'll be all set. She doesn't have to wait on that, so.
Questions or comments from the board? Lionel?
No question.
Dave? Blaine?
I make a motion for a negative determination.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, thank you very much. And Matt, I'll get the final plan to you, and I'll show some erosion controls on. We'll get those, put in and have you inspect them before the work starts. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
Interesting site.
Yeah, it's, I knew it was gonna be tight, but not as tight. Once I got everything on there, it's like, this is even tighter than I thought.
Yeah, I can see why, well, looking at it, I can see why.
Yeah.
I can't think of the last septic system request we've had that was easy.
Right.
They're
No,
all
but he
shoehorned in.
did a good job, so.
Thank you.
Work with what you got.
Take care. Next item is the continuation for 67 Hill.
Okay.
There's you guys got the revised plan, I believe, that was on the website that Nicole probably sent, and I have it up on the screen.
Paul?
David, if you don't, spots.
Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering,
Thank you.
67 Hill Street.
Here's the original.
Last
file.
time, last time we met on this, the commission had a couple of comments, one being, I believe it was Lionel, didn't want to see any water going over the bank, so we added a berm to the east side, the right-hand side of where the lot development is, so, and we extend, I think we already had the sill fence there. Actually, the sill fence has been doubled up also, but we're adding a berm there so that no water's coming off of that lot area, development area, and going over the embankment. Another comment someone had was they wanted to see some catch basins for the water coming down the driveway. So what we did was we added two, you'll see there's a detail we added there for dry wells. So we added two cast iron frames and grates and 6-foot diameter leach pits with stone around them down at the bottom of the driveway. I also added on the, I was talking to the abutter after the meeting last time, and I told them we'd put a 6-foot privacy fence. You see we have a retaining wall going all along the, our northerly boundary at the driveway. So we're going to put a 6-foot privacy fence all along that retaining wall. And I also added a 20-foot no disturb, no cutting, a natural buffer at the abutter's back property line. So you can see the existing tree line basically cuts in right at goes up into our lot line or his back lot line. So we're going to just add a 20-foot no disturb there to give him, a little more privacy with that and with the fence. Like I said, I added a second row of silt fence all along the whole bank there, just as a you know, added protection. And those are the changes since last time.
Matt?
Let me just, I'm trying to zoom in on this too. The browser gets really tedious. He's answered DEP's concerns. He's trying to respond, I think he's done a decent job responding to the concerns that Commissioner Whitaker brought up at the last meeting. And he is within the specifications of the regulations regarding riverfront resource.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? Lionel?
No, no question.
David?
What does the property line to be extinguished refer to?
Well, currently, there's 2 lots there, so the, and Van Dyke owns both of those lots, the one where I forget the size of that, I think it says 1.5 acres up there. Oh, no, maybe, yeah. And then the parcel to the south, which also extends quite a bit to the east, it's a larger piece, it's like 6 acres or so. There's no point in having that a separate lot, can't really do anything with it, no way to get in there, so we're just gonna combine them.
I've just never seen that, that's all right.
Yeah.
Now I get it, yeah.
Glenn? Is this an RDA, Matt?
No, this is
It was
notice
an
of
NOI.
intent. It's got a DEP number. 3450758.
So we're just looking for an order of conditions on this?
That is correct.
Looks like he's already done what we would put in the order, but we need to make the order official. So if I can entertain a motion for standard order of conditions? No?
I'm not in support of the project.
Me either.
We give him some feedback on what we need to make you in support of it? So next time, if we continue it, he knows what to do, or take Jamie?
Say that again?
Instead of just sending him away, can we tell him what we're not happy with? And so maybe you can be happy with it next time?
Well, one, I only got that tonight, so I haven't had much time. I'm reviewing it. I did review it, well, this morning, well, last night we got it. I reviewed it quickly today, and I was just hoping to get out there and look at it a little more. The property line thing had me a little bit confused, so.
It's steep. Lionel, what are your concerns?
I want to know how, pardon me, how can we erase a 100-foot floodplain property and make it a driveway? That's what I want to know.
Matt? Any clarification on that?
No, I mean, let me check the flood maps here. Give me 2 seconds.
No,
Just
there's
had
no
it.
flood, we're like 100 feet above the flood.
Well, pardon me, in 1938, that was underwater. Because the bridge was gone behind Camerstein's. All the bridges were gone along that river. The fire station that used to be across the street from Camerstein's is long gone. They still can't find the fire engine.
Oh, that's pretty,
This is the demarcated floodplain by FEMA, and this is the lot in question.
yeah. It's such a
So
steep pitch right
the
there.
federal maps don't show it, which is what we're required to go by under regulation. It doesn't show it as being in the floodplain.
So in other words, it doesn't exist, right? As far as our records show. But DEP would have a record showing a 100-foot floodplain.
This is DEP and FEMA's record in front of you.
There's no other way to get in there,
No.
possibly? Like behind it?
I don't think it's just
It's too steep on that, the lot we're gonna merge with it, it's really steep and a long ways to,
It's steep all around there.
yeah. No, I
other-
mean,
other
where the
than
house
where
site is, that's,
Someone had already cut a
Nice.
lot up at the top, it looks like, that came down, and then they drove down the hill towards where the water line is, but the whole thing is steep.
Did you guys want to do a walk with?
We already
We
did.
have.
I've walked it.
No, I mean with Mr. Grazowitz.
Well, me, Glenn, and Lionel spent probably an hour out there, and it's a tough place, I'll tell you that.
I mean, hills like this where it's, that guy's property's up here, you wanna come down along the side of it, go up through the back, and then the lot's up in the corner of it like this, where somebody already went in there, kinda
Somebody went with a digger, it's all
They
disturbed.
perk tested
Yeah.
it. That's where they perked it.
knocked down,
Well,
knocked down the stone wall.
did perk testing in there.
Yeah,
From-
there was a
from my-
perk, it was a perk done.
Excuse me, from my understanding, there was a proposal for a house to be built out there before by Mr. Robert Van Dyke, and it was dismissed. It could not be done. It was not approved by Bob Mackey, who was the agent at the time.
Okay. I don't have any information on that.
But he has the denial, I believe Lionel gave him a copy of it, right? That decision? Did that go in the file, Matt?
I didn't find anything, but
I thought Lionel handed you that copy last
That was a
week.
cease and
Handed you
desist.
the
that was the enforcement order, and he handed it to Mr. Grazowitz.
Oh, okay.
The.
No, that was from years ago.
Right, I mean, I'd have to look, because records have, between Bob and between Allison, records have been moved around, so sometimes they can be harder to find, they could be vaulted.
What's the blue hashing? What's the
With
flip?
God rest
Where
Bob's
the arrow
soul.
is?
Oh, that's strange, huh? I didn't see anything out there when we were out there.
No, I didn't see anything there either.
That pool's green there, huh?
Yeah,
It looked good when we were out there.
that guy was here tonight, yeah, he left. Man's dying.
Well, we're at an impasse on this one, so I don't think we're gonna get a yes tonight. I felt like a mountain goat when I was out there climbing it, it's so steep.
It's actually steep, you can't even walk down the bank in a lot of places, it's that steep.
Right, we're coming in, you can see the lot line right up against, close to his pool. It's actually it's in his lawn area,
Yeah.
is where we're actually coming in.
And I know we can't bring opinion into it, we have to go by the bylaws, but that guy that owns that house with the pool, he is distraught that, not distraught, I don't wanna put words in his mouth, very unhappy that he wants to put a driveway right through his backyard. He says, I've owned this house for 30 years and I've always maintained it.
Oh, I know it, and that's
Cut the
why, I mean, I
grass
talked to him out in the hallway, I said, look, I'll put a fence up, I'll leave a treed buffer here, then you won't see, people, you won't have people in your face. The driveways, because there's a wall, it's gonna be lower, and then you got the fence, so he's not gonna see any of that. But, depending on how thick the trees are, he's gonna see that there's, a house out
Saying he
back.
can't enjoy his pool with people cutting through his yard and no privacy.
The thing is, Paul, when they make that cut for that driveway, all that bankment, there's a bunch of maples right in there and stuff like that. That's not gonna survive that. I know you wanna leave them. The steep bank down to the old trolley
Yeah.
cart, you're gonna be above that.
And that is,
There's a bunch of maples in there, and you're gonna have to cut into that bank, God, 20 feet probably? A lot. Maybe not 20 feet, but 10 feet. I just don't see that the stabilization of that embankment surviving. That's one of my concerns. I'm just against the project in general because of the
My other, con-
topography of the land, the pitch, and I don't see it. I just see it being further problems for us.
and the other problem I see, excuse me, is that where that swimming pool is, right in front of that swimming pool, between that and the garage, is his new septic tank.
Well,
The measurement from the side of that house out, we measured it to that 100-foot buffer zone, that was only 13 feet away from the tank. So you're gonna be going over you're gonna go beyond that 100-foot buffer zone, all right, floodplain zone, pardon me, and close to his septic tank that he just had put in by John DeLine.
His septic tank's gonna be at least 10 feet away from the property line. Actually, I think he told me, or the leach field around the other side.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that won't be any problem.
The other concern, for the commission is every single abutter came in and spoke against that. We've never had that. I mean, I know we have to consider the facts and everything, but that's what we also consider, at least I do. Every single abutter, and it came in against that property, and that, I don't think I've ever seen that. So, I'm only one vote. I'm not gonna support it. I don't think the erosion control is gonna hold up, and that's my opinion.
I have to agree with you, Dave.
I think it was left like that for a reason. It's just, because it was.
Never been developed for that reason.
Right, it's just been too much of a.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to continue it to our next meeting. Give people time to think about it. It's not going through tonight.
Motion to continue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. It's a bad lot. I don't know what it's gonna take to get in there, but it's never been developed for a reason. Accessibility is a problem. It needs a helicopter. I'm kind of irritated that somebody went in there and disturbed the hell out of it with a digger. It's all disturbed and uprooted, and somebody took a big piece of machinery in there already and started digging around.
Yeah, we just went in there to dig some test pits, 4 test pits. Unfortunately, you gotta do 4 these days. If you're gonna have separate leach in the reserve area. That's all we did in there.
All right.
2 perks, 4 deep wells.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, thank
He's
you.
here for the next one, too.
Yep.
It's an evening with Paul Grazowitz on CBS.
That's the way it's been lately.
Yep.
Yeah.
The same projects.
I don't know if they I can't find it on here, so I'm gonna have to pull it down. I don't think it got loaded.
Let's see.
Just did.
Mr. Van Dyke doesn't have all bad news. He's building a new Walgreens.
Give me a drive-up window.
100 square feet.
It's a drive-up window. It's just how we roll.
I got a couple of copies of it.
It's all prescription.
What's the next one?
CVS, you can't have 2 drugstores like this. It's just.
Paul, what are the date on those plans?
CBS.
The last email I got from, I think it was from Trevor, actually, was
7/21, unless you
And Walgreens.
9/13 is what I have.
A label on it.
9/13.
So
Yep. That would make sense.
just all the businesses can go
All right, well, I'm gonna have to do the same trick here. I'm gonna have to put it on this.
store downtown.
With everybody getting COVID.
The last revision had these,
Has your son's like Dollar Tree? Dollar Tree coming from Family
I think
Dollar?
the last,
Yeah, this is Whitaker here. Yeah, Zach's wife. She met it. I was like, Whitaker, who you really? She goes, oh, who do you know? I said, well, I know David, I know David.
Paul, I think the only 2 people in that office that haven't gotten COVID yet are me and Tiffany. Everybody else has gotten COVID, so it's been kind of off and on.
I'm gonna knock on wood, 'cause I haven't had it yet.
I went to the
Oh, that
open
ain't
house
real
and my
wood.
kid went to show.
This is real wood.
Yeah, I usually do that. My wife makes a comment. It's not wood.
I didn't see that other one. I should have walked that other thing.
What's this?
Yeah. I needed to see that.
Is there a reading for this one?
No, this is a continuation.
All right.
Preserving large blocks of land.
So this one, Paul Grazowitz, Graz Engineering, for Asher Construction.
Thank you.
This lot 236, I know last month we didn't talk about it. I think I'm not sure why. I don't think we had I didn't have the plan with me, I think, and Matt didn't have it on that, so we just continued it. But basically...
DEP number?
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
had,
there is a DEP number. Essentially, he had to, because there are contiguous lots owned by the same owner, which is Asher, it triggered the federal and state stormwater standards under the new federal permit. So for each lot, Paul had to add a stormwater component. And that's what he had to, that's what the revision is here that he has.
yeah.
Oh, this is off of Hale Street, am I correct?
Yeah, it's
All right,
Doyle, which is off of Hale, yeah.
Yeah, I know the area. I actually,
So, so basically, we've got a little stormwater infiltration basin up by the house, and we got that graded to take the water up there, and then we curbed the driveway, and down at the, once we get outside the 50-foot buffer down there, we've got a couple of dry wells for the water from the driveway. And then we submitted, I think it was a month or a while back, all of the stormwater documents for pre and post and treatment and all that paperwork.
I don't have any issues with this.
I have no issues with it either. I'll make a motion to.
I mean, I did look at the wetland delineation, I looked at the wetland replication area, it looks fine. He's answered DEP's concerns regarding, everything. I don't have any issues, I think his stormwater is just fine.
Questions or comments from the board?
Make a motion to accept, we've already done a road for it too, so,
No, I've been out there, it looks good.
yeah.
Motion's been made. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you.
See? Oh, well, he's,
And actually, we took care of Island Road, so that's it.
That's it?
We're all through the agenda. Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
To adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
aye.